Hi, Carol here from Owl's Nest Quilters. We're cutting it up with Carol, and today's session will be on scanning. So I will give you the ins and outs of how to use your scanning mat and how to create a perfect scan. So unfortunately, as we have said in earlier videos, the scanning mat does not come with the scan and cut, any model. It's an extra additional purchase. So, but it's absolutely necessary because the scanning mat is what sets the Brothers Scan and Cut apart from all other cutting machines, because the world is completely open once you are able to scan a design in here from, coloring books, from magazine pages, from books, from anything that suddenly become material for us to cut and design and make things out of. So if you don't have a scanning mat, make sure that you get a scanning mat that is specific for your machine. So the DX mats have the DX in the item number. The older models do not have that. The DX mats do not work on the earlier non-DX models. So make sure you get the right scanning mat. They come with a protective sheet that you want to keep on it. So don't remove this, even though it's adhered with tape. You don't want to remove that sheet. And you can take whatever it is that you're scanning, put it under the protective sheet and lay that down, and you're ready to scan. It's not necessary that you have your design perfectly straight, but for me it just makes it easier, so I usually try to have it in there with the edge of the paper up against the ridge of the protective sheet. Then we load the mat just like we do any of the other mats. So you're going to hold on to the center of your mat and press your grid button there, and that it's a little mat icon, and you're going to press that and it loads the mat. Then in order to scan, you're going to use this scan, and you're going to press that. Direct cut is, I could, if you had something already on cardstock, for example, that you wanted to directly cut. So like they have this leaf picture. If I had this outline of a leaf on cardstock, I could just go direct cut and it will cut that in just one step. Most often you are going to want to use the scan to cut data. So you're going to scan it, and then it's going to create your image that you will save, and that will be your data that you can call up and then cut. And then so you can also scan to your USB. More often than not, you're going to be using the scan to cut data, and that is what we're going to demonstrate today. So I'm going to press that, and it will say you're going to create, cut, or draw data from images. Put material to scan on the mat and set it to the machine. Set it into the machine. Press the start key to scan. The older models won't have the lever that will detect thicknesses, and so sometimes when you press start, it's going to say that your scanner level is not at the right level, and all you need to do is on the DX models is shift that lever that's on the left of your machine to a different position, and then hit start, and it will load, and it is scanning. Easy peasy. But this is where the confusion begins. So I'm going to go ahead and eject this so that I can pull this machine closer and really show you what I'm doing. So on the scan, you have 3 different choices of what you want scanned. The first choice, and we're going to do this a couple of times so you can see the difference with all 3 of them. This first choice would be if I just want this figure, which is, I should have turned mine around. but it's the same box with a circle. And all you're going to get is the outline of it. You're not going to get anything that's in the center. So let's try that. And you can see through this picture that the little area of the circle is sort of grayed out, and that little corner of the square is grayed out. So all you're really going to get is this outline. And you hit OK, and it's processing, and then it's going to ask you where you want to save it. You can save it to your machine, you can send it wirelessly to your sewing or embroidery machine, or you can save it on your USB. So I'm going to save it to my machine. And sometimes it takes a little while. And I'm going to hit OK. And now I can't do anything more. This is another confusing part. I can't do anything more to this at this point. I have to go home and delete it, and then I have to call it up by retrieving my data, going to my machine, and it's the last thing that I saved, so it'll be the last item. And you can see that all I get is that outline of my square and circle. This one is great if you want to use, if you're using simple designs, if you're using, if you're scanning a star for Christmas, it'll just give you the outline of the star. If you're doing a leaf, it'll just give you the outline of the leaf. The circle, so it's easy, big shapes that you're going to get and most often use. But you can do more than that. So let's go back to our machine, load it up again. And we're going to scan to cut data, and start. Go ahead and eject it again. So I'm going to jump over, I don't know why they did it in this order. I would have switched these last two because the most often used are going to be this first one and this third one. So this third one, if we press that, we can see that we're going to get all of the parts of our square and circle. Let's see what happens when we actually do this, how it translates into the cut data. So I'm going to save it into my machine. Okay. I have to go home because I can't do anything more in this screen. And I have to pick it up. Last one, and this time I'm going to go OK, and I am going to see how this did both of these. It did my little outline, but then it also gave me my little gave me all kinds of parts here, and that's probably because of my drawing. That actually, this little piece probably shouldn't have actually been there, but my drawing wasn't real solid. So it read that as another piece, but it gave me my outline, and then it gave me my corner, and it gave me my semicircle. So it's reading more parts to it. This may be important if you are doing things that have, let's see, if things have more lines to them. So if I wanted to do a stem, I would have to tell the machine to do 2 cuts and then do this and the stem. So it's going to have to be a little bit more detailed than what the first one with the first icon that we pressed, especially if it's more detailed. We did one class the other day where we were doing lots of vines and leaves and so on, and in order for the machine to read all of that, we had to do that far right button. So you're going to get more bits and pieces with that. So let's do it one more time. And we'll see what that middle button does. Go to, oops, scan to cut data, and start. So this middle one that we're going to be touching, you're not going to use very often. And as a matter of fact, I haven't yet found an occasion where I would even want to use it. But like you, I am learning all of this too. Okay, let me delete that, reject. I can get it closer. Okay, so now we're going to do this third and see what it translates to in cut data. And this shape may be, again, I can't do anything more in this. I have to go home and I have to retrieve it out of the memory. The last one. Okay. Now I'm getting all kinds of bits and pieces. So that little area, this little Pac-Man area, I'm getting that cut. That's that little piece. Then I'm getting this semicircle. Then I'm getting the rest of my square. And then I'm getting the outline. The only way I can see that you would maybe want to do this is if, as you're layering your piece, like if I was doing this with vinyl, and I wanted these to have different colors. I wanted my little Pac-Man to be red, and my little semicircle, or my little corner to be green, and then this to be blue. I can see doing that because all of these pieces then would fit exactly perfectly over one another, and they would fit right in the little puzzle piece. Otherwise, I don't know that there would be too many occasions where I would really want this many pieces of my diagram. But that's what the differences are with all of these. So I'm going to save this. The other part, I don't know, so you are always given a chance to overwrite or to create a new file. So the overwrite is that it literally overwrites it. So if you've made any changes to the original, it'll make a change, it'll save your data in the same exact file as the new thing. Or you can keep your original and save it as a new, and I'm just going to overwrite it. So when you are sort of a recap here. So you have to kind of think of what it is that you are going to be doing with your scan in order to decide which of those three buttons you pick. And I know that that's one source of confusion with the scanning. The other source of confusion is that when you're on that screen after you've told it what to scan, you can't do anything else to it. And people are like, oh no, I can't do anything. Well, no, you can't. You have to go home and pick it up again. So this gives you an outline. This gives you every single piece of your image that the machine is reading, and then this gives you pieces, but fewer pieces than the middle option. If you want to increase the darkness or lightness of your image, you can always use the scale, because mine's actually pretty light there. I can do a preview, and it will give me eventually, there she goes, a little darker image. So that's always a good thing to have. So those are just the basics in terms of scanning, and hopefully that will help you and help clarify some of the questions that you've been having.
Owl's Nest Quilters, because you love to create. Yeah.